Good morning, Ocean. Let's talk about sports. My name is Squid, and welcome to a brand new, I wouldn't call it series, it's just another type of thing within GMOS that we're going to be doing. It's called Under or Overrated. We're going to be taking a look at NBA players. Maybe I'll do some football or some soccer, maybe, or baseball. I don't know too much about all those. But anyway, mostly NBA players, whether they're under or overrated. I'm going to be looking at it from both sides. I'm going to come up with a verdict at the end of the episode. You guys are going to tell me, what you guys thought, and then that'll be how it is. Alright, so let's get started with the first person, NBA player, and that is Chris Paul. Alright, so with that said, let's get right into it and look at it from the overrated perspective. Chris Paul can be considered overrated for a couple of reasons. One, he's never made it to the NBA Finals. He's actually never even made it to the conference finals. Last year probably would have been the worst, or best in this case, situation to support the overrated argument. He was up 3-1 against the Rockets, and he just did not find a way to, lead his team to, clinch that one more game, that last game. Another thing is Chris Paul has never had any spectacular, outlandishly amazing seasons. Chris Paul has been consistently really, really good. He's been 20, 10, 4, and then 2 steals. 20 points, 10 assists, 4 rebounds, 2 steals, and only 2 turnovers. That is just outstanding numbers. Nothing crazy, amazing, but he still has the ability, to do that type of stuff. He's never, very, very bad, very, very bad. But, basically, he's just been consistently very good. Occasionally that bar will go up. He's definitely capable of having a 40-17 game. He's had those, and getting those triple doubles. But you'll rarely find him having games where he goes 2 for 17 and then 6 turnovers, 0 assists, that type of thing. Alright, so that's all I've got for overrated. If you guys think of anything else, feel free to let me know in the comments. Now we're gonna go look at the underrated perspective. Now here's one thing you might, be thinking. How can Chris Paul be considered underrated when, consistently year after year he's considered at least top 3, in the league? He's basically been that at the point guard position. He's been considered top 3 for his whole career. Well, actually, I do think he's underrated. By the way, this is for last season mainly. Anyway, I think he's underrated because he is not considered the best point guard by far. One reason being, Chris Paul with assists averages 50 points per game. That is more than Russell Westbrook, Stephen Curry, LeBron James, Kevin Durant, even though Kevin Durant didn't play that season, James Harden, all these different people, and he has the highest playoff PER of all time. That, and PER means basically you take all the good stuff that they do, minus it by all the negatives, and you get that number. Chris Paul's number is above all other people's numbers when it comes to playoff performances. Hey guys, one thing I forgot to mention, it's actually not for all players, it's just point guards. Another thing I think people don't really give him credit for. Chris Paul is the best true point guard in the NBA. When I say true point guard, you take a look at guys like LeBron James, James Harden, Kevin Durant. They really do play more of a point guard style. But then you have guys like Russell Westbrook, Steph Curry, and Kyrie Irving. those are the types of guys who are actually listed as point guards, but are really more like shooting point guards. More like, you know, they're more scorers. You can definitely say that for Russell Westbrook. He led the league in scoring last season. Also for Kyrie Irving and Steph Curry. Wow, listen, I think all of those guys can do, you know, traditional point guard stuff. They're just, their nature is more to score as opposed to, they're a score-first point guards, while Chris Paul is a pass-first point guard. And with regards to James Harden, actually, he's probably more in the shooting guard range, but he does play a lot more point guard than people give him credit for, too. So anyway, when it comes to true point guards, pass first, score second, win, you know, do whatever it takes to win, you know, that's what Chris Paul does. And one more thing why he was definitely considered underrated. He is not nearly as valued to the media, like, as he is. Chris Paul, in my opinion, was the most valuable player last year. You know, he should have been the MVP, in my opinion, because of his value. Listen, if we're giving it to the best player on the best team, which is really what it is, actually, then obviously you give that to Steph Curry, because that's what he is by definition. But if we're giving it to the most valuable player, like, take Steve Nash when he won his 2 MVPs, for example. Clearly he wasn't the best player, you know, in the league. It was Shaq. You know, Shaq probably should have won those MVPs when it comes to best player, you know, in the world type of thing. But when they're judging it by what it is, by value to their team, in my opinion, I don't think there's anyone more valuable than Chris Paul to their team than Chris Paul is to the Clippers. As a matter of fact, I could have picked 4 guys over Steph Curry than, you know, for MVP. James Harden, Anthony Davis, LeBron James, and then Chris Paul. All 4 of those guys, if they weren't on their teams, you know, you just put some average player on there, you know, they wouldn't have made the playoffs. However, with the Golden State Warriors, I think they wouldn't be the best team in the league, but they would have certainly made the playoffs without Steph Curry. Like I said earlier, Chris Paul averaged 50 points for the Clippers with his assists. So that's almost half of their points. Without Chris Paul, where is, you know, most of that coming from? You know, obviously, they're not going to be short 50 points, but it's going to be a lot less. And one more thing I think Chris Paul is underrated for is his leadership. A lot of people think, you know, he is hated. You know, he talks and talks, you know, to all his players and crap, and, like, a lot of people think it's like he's just a dog barking. But that's him leading on the court and just doing whatever it takes to win. You know, that's probably why DeAndre Jordan stayed with the Clippers. I know a lot of people think that Chris Paul and DeAndre Jordan, like, don't like each other. And they definitely do bicker on the court, you can see that. But that's just, you know, Chris Paul, you know, leading, you know, his guys. I actually was watching some highlights and, excuse me, Reggie Miller, you know, 3-point master. He was saying how he thinks he thought Chris Paul is the best leader ever. Over Magic Johnson, he said over Magic Johnson and over Jason Kidd. Those were his top 3. And I completely agree. I think he's underrated as a leader. And without the Clippers, without Chris Paul, they wouldn't be anywhere. Oh, and his defense is the best in the NBA. Want some proof? He made the All-NBA first-team defense last year. And he was the only point guard. So, by definition, he's the best defensive point guard in the NBA. Anyway, guys, so I think I made my verdict pretty clear. I think he is underrated. Let me know what you guys think. in the comments about that subject, whether he's under or overrated. And I'll look it over, and maybe I'll even give a couple shout-outs in the next video. I don't know. Anyway, guys, thanks for liking and commenting on this video. If you guys want to subscribe, you can subscribe. If you guys want to follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, I've made a bunch of, I have pages for this channel all over there, and links are in the description for those. But yeah, thanks for liking and commenting on this video, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.